All right, hello. Now we are on to part two of our Project 2025 Pocket People's Guide. Okay, so this is part two. So we're gonna go over 3 chapters. All right.
Please check out part one. It has 2 chapters of Project 2025. Also, in our description, you'll have the link to this and the original manifestation, which is actually 409 pages. So, here we go. Hope you enjoy.
All right. Here we go. Part two. So we are going to start with restricts reproductive rights and access to health care, which affects not a lot of women, but also mostly all of us.
Is that like the cancellation of Planned Parenthood
Defunding.
and the defunding of that?
Yeah, defunding. Definitely defunding.
Wow.
So that's what they're talking about, because Planned Parenthood doesn't doesn't do abortions. They also just sit there and they also do primary care. So it's just like there's a lot of other things that they do besides just that.
Abortion, exactly. Everybody always focus on the abortion part of Planned Parenthood, but they forget that it supplies free medical for all women issues. So that's very important, and we all know a lot of communities don't have insurance and they need this care, especially a lot of women may not have their rights to be able to go get themselves checked out when dealing with a mate and dealing with certain issues. So, like, that was a minute part of what it's supplied. And it also gave women of all ages the ability to get themselves checked out. And that was very important depending on how you was raised as a little girl. We already know 4 out of 5 black little girls are molested before the age of 11. So it also gave them the accessibility to get themselves checked out in urban areas where they had access to. The fact they are defunding this are giving less access to women in their personal health care and treating themselves.
So, despite the majority of Americans supporting comprehensive health care and reproductive freedom, Project 2025 would prefer a far different reality. Their attacks would undermine Medicare, which affects us all who are on Medicare. That's everybody. Keep prescription drug prices high, again, everybody, and restrict access to reproductive care. That's before and after and during. All 3. Number 1, how they do it. Keep the cost of life-saving medication too high. Project 2025 would undo Medicare's new ability to negotiate lower prescription prices for seniors, grandparents, anybody that's close to your parents' age, if you're of a certain age, grandparents, parents, whatever it is, this is affecting them.
Guys, and I know it's hard, but I have to be really blatant with the black community on this. We're going to have to start taking care of our parents and our grandparents.
I agree. I can agree with that.
Like a lot of races, we're going to have to start really taking care of them and not leaving it to institutions, nursing homes, things of that nature to take care of our parents.
I'm not going to lie.
They're not going to get the care and the treatment that they need. And also, it's going to take down on a lot of costs, but we're really going to have to start to becoming a family and not a separate entity.
Now, Medicare's new ability to negotiate lower prescription drug prices for seniors, established through the Inflation Reduction Act, will be transformative for millions of seniors in the United States. According to the Center for American Progress, these negotiations are targeting some of the most expensive drugs frequently used by seniors, saving hundreds of thousands of dollars in drug costs each year. These negotiations are also critical for advancing health equity, given that many of the prescriptions targeted by the negotiations treat conditions disparately experienced by people who have historically experienced marginalization because of their race or gender, meaning our black asses.
Yep.
Now, while Project 2025's plan is to specifically instruct Congress to repeal this part of the IRA, they could also easily advise the Department of Justice to stop defending Medicare's ability to negotiate drug prices in courts, where the program currently faces numerous challenges. Project 2025's attack on Medicare's ability to negotiate drug prices would negatively impact millions of elderly Americans, particularly elderly people of color and those with low incomes. That's, it's very interesting because, when I heard about every time I hear about lowering drug costs, they always target the elderly.
Yeah.
Always.
Because they are the, just like veteran and the homeless, they are the least valued and
least
taken
valued.
care of.
Exactly. And this
As Americans, not even just black
Oh
people.
no, it's not just black people.
Yeah, but as Americans, we disregard our elderly.
Yes, a lot of it is an American thing to disregard our elderly, and when they get to a certain point to sit there and disparage them. We saw that in the past. We saw that with the past election. Because we disparaged Joe Biden. A lot of people did because of his age.
Yeah, I think what started us disparaging our elderly is because of who our parents were and how they raised us, and I think that stemmed us to start to resent them, and that's what made the upcoming generations less likely to take care of the elderly. Absolutely. I think a lot of us was traumatized by our parents.
Sure, I agree. I can agree with that.
And it's just American cultural thing.
Yes.
Not race.
It's not.
It's how our parents It's just how our parents was raised in America, and it just made them unbearable as we were children and made us less likely to want to go ahead and care for them as well.
Yes.
Especially when a lot of us started to have the same traits and form the same actions and as far as raising their children possibly the same way as their parents, they're less likely they're going to distance themselves.
No, absolutely.
So I think that America is just based off of nothing but trauma.
Absolutely.
For all individuals. In one way or likely, definitely some way more
than others. We're the most traumatized, though. I'm just saying. Yeah. We're the most traumatized.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Definitely way more than others. But we all are based off of this trauma, and we're trying to trauma bond. And it's just really crazy. Yes. And I think all nations outside of us, they see that, they realize that. And that's why we're the laughing stock. Because we're nothing but fucking damaged children.
Yes, we are damaged. And another thing that we don't really think about, especially, getting back to the fact of not valuing our elderly. And even with the issues that I have, something were happened to my mother or father.
Okay.
I'm gonna go take care of them.
I think you need to understand one thing. It's also karma. We definitely need to look out for our elderly because at some point we will. And if we don't set up systems and institutions and things of that nature to take care of the elderly, when we become elderly, there will be nothing for us. And if we don't have our children that will take care of us, you will be in that same position. So we do have to start to set up fractions, start to teach our children the importance of taking care of the elderly, live by example, everything, start to set up, make sure we're not taking away Medicare and SSI, because when we become elderly, which we do, especially especially if you fucking planning on living for a long time, you want to make sure these type of things are secure and set up. So here we go.
Yeah. Now, how they do it: end medication abortion use or make it incredibly difficult to access. Project 2025 would revoke approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, criminalize mailing medication abortion, or even enlist the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency as part of their anti-abortion efforts. Over 2 decades of medical practice show that mifepristone medication abortion is safe and effective. In fact, just last year, nearly 2/3 of all pregnant people are relied on medication abortion for their abortion care. This is one of the last lines for millions of pregnant people across the United States, as many state governments are ramping up attacks. The anti-abortion extremists behind Project 2025, not content with merely overturning Roe versus Wade, want to attack access to medication abortion nationwide by any means necessary. A. Project 2025 would weaponize the long dormant Comstock Act to try and make the delivery of medication abortion by mail illegal.
Ooh.
Originally passed in the 19th century to restrict the types of things that could be mailed, the Comstock Act is today, in District Court Judge Robert Chambers' own words, a widely abrogated 19th century statute.
19th century.
Pretty much calling it old and very much calling it antiquated in very little words.
I thought we were supposed to be progressive. Why everybody want to take things back?
Right, exactly. Anyway, despite the DOJ, the courts and Congress already making clear that the Comstock Act does not apply to legal abortion care, Project 2025 plans to weaponize the DOJ and resurrect this act to ban nationwide medication abortion access. B. Project 2025 would have the FDA reverse approval of this safe and effective medication. Reversing federal approval of medication abortion could deprive people of essential health care, even in states where abortion remains legal. In states where abortion is banned or restricted, this would further subject people to the whims of state legislatures, many of which have actively pushed or enacted abortion restrictions since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. C. Project 2025 would further undermine medication abortion by mail by reimposing unnecessary and burdensome requirements that mifepristone be dispensed in person and by a doctor. Post-Dobbs, the FDA has played an important role by allowing the distribution of mifepristone by mail and at certain pharmacies. This has allowed increased access to care. Given that not everyone has the privilege of convenient in-person doctor access, aka rural areas, if these plans were implemented, it will become harder for everyone to access abortion care, particularly low-income pregnant people and those in rural communities, just like I said. In their own words, a bare minimum of policy of limiting abortion pills to the pre-2016 policy of 49 days gestation, returning to the pre-2021 in-person dispensing requirement, and returning to requiring prescribers to report all serious adverse events, not just deaths, to the drug sponsor would increase women's health and safety. D. If all else fails, Project 2025 would turn to the EPA to apply restrictive regulations to medication abortion.
Ooh.
Project 2025 wants an anti-democratic president to direct the EPA to classify medication abortion as containing forever chemicals, which are subject to stricter regulations. If the EPA to classify medication abortion as a forever chemical, it would stifle the approval and distribution of medication abortion. In their own words, using the EPA to classify the chemicals in abortion pill mifepristone as forever chemicals subject to stricter regulations. They are literally attack. They literally, no matter if the pregnancy is viable or not, they are literally telling you, well, whatever happens to you happens to you.
Remember,
it's Game of Thrones.
The first video.
They're Targaryen.
The first video.
Targaryen woman.
The first video, we expressed how they are loosening child labor laws. More children, more workers. And how they defunded education. More children, more slaves. And that's why they want to take that away.
Yeah.
You really think they want us reproducing?
Nah. They just want to use us as capital.
Cattle.
As capital again.
No, it wasn't cat. It was capital and cattle.
Yeah.
Again.
They just want to use us as
all
capital.
they want. That's all they want.
They want us back so bad. Anyway.
That's all they want. You know,
3.
They don't see minorities as human beings.
Nope.
They cannot sympathize with us because they don't even see us.
They do not. Now, how they do it. We're still on restrict reproductive rights and access to health care because this is a very meaty thing. So people really we feel like everyone needs to know this, and that's why we're doing this in 3 parts.
Yes.
Okay? Now, how they do it. Push people towards private Medicare plans that worsen health outcomes. Under the guise of allowing greater choice, Project 2025 would push policies that favor private, worse-performing alternatives to Medicare. While many of Project 2025's plans for Medicare require congressional action, they also encourage a future administration to use all possible levers, including the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, to alter this critical program however they can. Several of their proposals would push people towards private Medicare alternatives, which are not alternatives at all, with reports showing that Medicare Advantage plans threaten rural hospitals and patients and misled people into signing up for them. While Project 2025 may pitch these Medicare reforms as encouraging consumer choice, in reality, they will leave seniors worse off across the country, putting the health of many of the 33 million people enrolled in traditional Medicare at risk. Now, in their own words, Medicare regulations restrict choice of coverage and care. The next administration should reintroduce and restore regulations and demonstrations from the Trump administration that were withdrawn, weakened, or never finalized by the Biden administration.
Now listen, y'all hear the word Medicare, and y'all think it just pertains to elderly. Just think about all those programs and all those entities where you can get all your medication, your HIV medication, and all your STD, and all your free appointments, and going to the health district for free. That will all also be defunded. That is all tied to that. So you're thinking as far as it's just elderly and it's not going to affect you. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Every time you want to try to run in there and go to the free clinic and get checked out for free, all that will be defunded. When you go in there and you just got a little BV and you just need your antibiotics, all that will be defunded. And now there's a study that just came out that men give women BV.
That part. Now, 4, how they do it. Make it easier for extremists to access personal information about patients' reproductive care. Project 2025 will remove protections the Biden administration put in place post-Dobbs to protect the personal information of people who receive reproductive care. Meaning, it ain't nobody business but that woman's. Period.
Just like ain't nobody business but your health.
It ain't nobody's business what anybody does.
Amen.
For what it is they're going for.
For themselves. As long as you ain't hurting nobody else.
How is it hurting somebody else? But they want to know what's going on with you. That don't make no sense to me.
What's going on with you?
What's going on with you? Now, in the immediate aftermath of the Dobbs decision, I'm just kidding, that overturned Roe v. Wade, the Biden administration issued HIPAA guidance to ensure doctors and other medical providers and health plans know that, with limited exceptions, they are not required, and in many cases are not permitted, to disclose patients' private information, including to law enforcement. The administration later finalized a rule to shield the medical records of patients from criminal investigations if they cross state lines to seek an abortion where it is legal. Even as extremists in Texas actively try to use the courts to access information about people receiving abortions out of state, Project 2025 claims that the Biden administration's privacy guidance is fear-mongering and would have a future administration withdraw it. As more states move to pass increasingly severe efforts to criminalize abortion, this would put medical providers and all pregnant people at increased risk.
Yes.
In their own words, OCR should withdraw its Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, HIPAA, guidance on abortion. OCR should withdraw its June 2022 Guidance 87 that purports to address patient privacy concerns following the Dobbs decision, but is actually a politicized statement in favor of abortion and against Dobbs.
Listen, we already know as minorities and black women that healthcare is very defunded and uneducated when it comes to taking care of our bodies and our birth. Majority of black women die during childbirth, and the odds of them basically surviving and conceiving the child the younger they are is a problem. And as I stated to you, 4 out of 5 black little girls are molested before the age of 11. So it is a problem if you would have these little girls conceive children. We're very defunded. Our nutrition is not the same. Don't think you're going to sit there and be producing cattle. You're going to cause castratic death.
Absolutely.
And women. And little girls.
Absolutely. Now, next chapter. The next thing they'll do, enable discrimination across society. Threatened by decades of progress in advancing civil rights and equality for all, the authors of Project 2025 want to create a country that allows for more discrimination, where we live, study, work, play, and roll back hard-fought victories by our movements for progress.
Now jobs can DEI.
Correct. Remove DEI.
AI, these little images of black women and black men and these political and they stating their views, these AI, IG little reels they're pulling out, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Meta.
Yeah.
Meta child.
Doing a lot of stuff. How they do it. Embolden racial discrimination in everything from housing to education to employment. So basically nothing different that we don't already know about.
Part 1.
That's number 1. Project 2025 proposes that the president should remove a key tool that the federal government uses to enforce civil rights protections.
Yeah.
Civil rights.
Removing segregation. Companies can now segregate.
They could. I mean, but you know.
And it's removed from government agencies.
The good thing about it is they're not. It's like the good thing it is about the Trump administration is that they're not as organized as they like to seem that they are. They're not that smart. Nothing gets through. Everything's is tangled up in court because people don't because it's like it's a bunch of people not knowing what they're doing.
But what they're doing is they're still using the old system, and the old system is still somewhat in place.
Yeah, but it's also
it has nothing to do with smarts, and they know that.
Yeah,
just like with Bush, it has nothing to do with that. It's because of these old systems in place, and that will allow and give them the power to do what they are doing.
Absolutely. Now, Project 2025 proposes that the federal government stop the long-standing use of disparate impact in assessing discrimination by ending its use in discrimination cases and even bringing lawsuits that challenge the standard's constitutionality. Mm-hmm. The disparate impact standard has long been used in determining discrimination under Title VI and Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Fair Housing Act of 1968. It is important for evaluating when facially neutral programs have disparate impacts on certain groups of people. The Civil Rights Division of the DOJ determines disparate impact as, does the adverse effect of the policy or practice fall disproportionately on a race, color, or national origin group? This standard provides an important remedy for DOJ and others to bring civil rights cases when groups of people have their civil rights violated in areas such as employment discrimination and fair housing. So discontinuing its use will make it harder for the federal government to enforce civil rights protections in everything from housing to education to employment. Disparate impact standards have long been ruled constitutional by the United States Supreme Court. So Project 2025's attempts are baseless. In their own words, courts have ruled that even without evidence of overt intentional discrimination, such results might suggest discrimination. This doctrine of disparate impact could be ended legislatively or at least narrowed through the regulatory process by a future administration. So basically, what they're trying to do most of it's probably not going to go through. That's pretty much what I'm getting at in so many words.
Well, that's then, but we just realized the AI was reenacted.
Well, yeah, that's the only thing because that's the only thing they can.
Also remove segregation in any government building. I don't know. If their basis is correct. Correct.
I don't think Project 2020. I'm not going to say that
because we're here now and it's starting to go through. Look at DC, and it's not a state. Like
It's a commonwealth.
Exactly.
Just like here, Pennsylvania is a
So
commonwealth.
it's like
Massachusetts is a commonwealth.
they're finding
It's not a
ways
state.
once again to get above the Constitution and all the law.
Yeah, it's just like basically Trump wants to be king.
They're actually using the Constitution against us.
Yeah, trying to. They're trying to like. They're trying to bastardize the Constitution. It's not perfect by any means of the necessary.
No.
Not. It's not perfect by any means.
Oh, I mean, yeah, we know that,
It's not perfect.
and that was the point.
I personally find it very surprising that nobody had, like, none of these lawmakers have decided to come up and draw up a new constitution for the United States of America.
They
Anyway,
can't because the old systems are still at play.
right. Anyway,
That's the most important part.
That is-
they cannot because the old systems are still at play. Those in
which is why
are
we need a new
in-
constitution.
which are in the Constitution. So it will not be redrawn unless those individuals are redrawn for those positions.
Yes. Now, how they do it. Make it harder for historically under-resourced communities to access Medicaid, Head Start, and other government programs. Black folks. Population counts can be essential to groups receiving appropriations and resources from the federal government like Medicaid, Head Start, community mental health programs, and much more.
Part 1.
So Project 2025's plans to undercount or undermine the accuracy of these counts would hurt communities that have been economically marginalized. Poe. The special interests behind Project 2025 want to reverse the long-standing body of work by civil rights activists who have encouraged the federal government to collect more sophisticated data when it comes to racial and ethnic groups, which has helped ensure communities that have been historically under-resourced because of their racial demographics receive proper allocations of resources.
Yeah.
As recently as March 2024, the Biden administration issued a revision to Statistical Directive Number 15, which governs standards for maintaining, collecting, and presenting federal data on race and ethnicity. The revision is for more accurate and useful race and ethnicity data collection. I want to say useful.
Yep.
Let's talk about that. They said useful. This was just last year that he did this. I didn't even know he did this. You know what I'm saying? That I didn't even know he did this.
Because we know they discriminate.
Right. But it's the fact that he put a direct, there was a directive made to fix a problem. Because this is important. This is actually very important.
Yeah.
So I'm actually just going to go ahead. I'm going to reread it. As recently as March 2024, the Biden administration issued a revision to Statistical Directive Number 15, which governs standards for maintaining, collecting, and presenting federal data on race and ethnicity. The revision is for more accurate and useful race and ethnicity data collection across various agencies of the U.S. federal government. So that means they recognized that there was some blind spot here across all federal agencies. So they needed this data to update everything else.
So now that we got Trump, is he going to use that data for the wrong reasons?
Of course. Anyway, in their own words, review forthcoming changes to race and ethnicity questions. The current administration has announced its intent to change data collection methods regarding race and ethnicity by combining the two questions on the decennial questionnaire and increasing the number of available options. A new conservative administration should take control of this process and thoroughly review any changes. Project 2025 would advise a future administration to hamstring these revisions by instructing the White House Office of Management and Budget to reverse them and ensure that other federal agencies are not aiding in the collection of more accurate data. This would leave historically underrepresented communities at a disadvantage when it comes to accessing critical programs we rely on every day.
Part 1.
From Medicaid to Head Start.
Yeah.
All right. How they do it. Undermine gender equity across the government.
Wow.
Project 2025 would eliminate the White House Gender Policy Council, which is key to promoting contraception access, gender-based violence prevention, and women's health equity. So basically,
why is always an attack on women? Like,
bro,
I don't understand.
They go for y'all so quick every single time because it's easy.
And the world is ran by men.
And they're mad.
I'm like, it's all,
and they're mad because they can't, because of the simple fact they can't
just fucking drag me into the cave and go bow your mind.
Yeah, you can't do that no more. You can't.
Like, it's always attack against women.
Because these men have lack of sex.
And that's why I said black men need to step up.
That part. Now, under the Biden administration, the White House Gender Policy Council has led efforts to increase access to contraception, published the National Plan to End Gender-Based Violence, and begun groundbreaking research into how women's health is studied across the country. Project 2025 would immediately disband the council and prioritize coordinating efforts that push for promoting life and emphasize a narrow vision of what defines a family.
Like, y'all the only men that can protect women at this moment against them.
Even
and yourself.
Yeah. Even with that.
And yourself.
Even with that, it's just the simple fact that they're trying to roll back these things that have been actually very good. You know what I'm saying? And have had positive effects for women. You know what I'm saying? For all women, really. So it's just like, and they're trying to sit here and figure out how they can fix the problem that they clearly see and trying to fix, right? So these people want to come in here and roll it back because they have what they're talking about, their narrow vision of what defines a family.
Yeah.
Anyway, and they're talking about promoting life. Get the, you know what?
Because they don't want that. They want cattle, slaves. It's not about family. It's not a reproduction. I need work.
It's about them not working again. Anyway. How they do it.
Exactly. It's about them not working again.
That's it. This is a short one. Allow more discrimination against LGBTQ plus youth in adoption and foster care agencies. Project 2025 would make it easier for state and child welfare agencies, which are charged by the public to provide appropriate care for children, to cite religious exemptions as a way to promote bigotry. In 2022, more than 368,000 children were enrolled in foster care in the U.S. Project 2025 would instruct the Department of Health and Human Services to repeal a 2016 regulation that provides additional protections for foster youth related to sexual orientation and gender identity. Enabling adoption and foster care agencies to subject vulnerable children to the whims of extreme religious beliefs would be detrimental to the physical, mental, and emotional health of fostered/adopted youth, especially LGBTQ plus youth who are already dealing with intense adversities. So meaning they take these things away. Yeah. It was like your special or, light on their feet child or whatever you want to sit there and call them.
Yep.
Is on the road for either crime or just suicide. So just letting you know that's what you do if you're not going to sit there and be there for your kid. So be there for your kid no matter how they are. And I'm going to leave that right there because that's another video. Number 5, how they do it. Put black communities and others that have historically borne the brunt of health impacts from pollution and other environmental harms at increased risk.
Of course.
Project 2025 proposes to eliminate the EPA's Office of Environmental Justice and External Civil Rights. EPA's newly created Office of Environmental Justice and External Civil Rights is the agency's dedicated office for ensuring that environmental and public health policies are crafted and implemented in ways that ensure no communities are left behind or disproportionately harmed. Eliminating this office would put the communities that have historically borne the brunt of harms from pollution, climate change, and other hazards, which are too often Black and brown communities, at increased risk. Basically, they're going to sit there and remove the studies from pretty much rural and a lot of like highly populated Black and brown areas because they want us to die anyway.
Yeah.
Bottom line. Anyway, we're going to continue. How they do it. Enable discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. By misinterpreting Supreme Court precedent and allowing more religious exemptions, Project 2025 would roll back protections against discrimination against LGBTQ plus people and others in the workplace. Lovely. So more shit I have to go through. Anyway, LGBTQ plus Americans have had to fight for protections under the law, and in recent years, we have witnessed important gains, including the Supreme Court's confirmation of federal protections in the workplace, which logically extend to other areas like healthcare and schools. Yet Project 2025 wants to reverse this progress. Project 2025 plans to restrict the application of a critical 2020 Supreme Court case called Bostock v. Clayton County that assures workplace protections for LGBTQ plus people through making clear that discrimination against LGBTQ plus people is a form of sex discrimination prohibited by our federal civil rights laws. Project 2025 would try to enable greater workplace discrimination through allowing employers to impose their religious or moral beliefs on their employees. So basically, if I'm the way I am and I don't like others, it's like, and if you feel like just because of the way I'm living based off your religion, you can sit there and, impose on my life, me not getting certain positions at a job because of your religious beliefs. And if you feel like that's right for you, please, in all seriousness and with all due respect, walk in traffic blindfolded. Okay? Anyway, additionally, the Biden administration has helped to ensure protections from gender identity discrimination across many aspects of our lives, including healthcare, housing, education, credit and lending services, and community-safe programs. Project 2025, however, would roll back and severely limit those protections and leave already vulnerable people at increased risk for discrimination when trying to rent an apartment, go to school, and more. So basically, they want us to go backwards to like the 40s.
Why can't everybody just mind their motherfucking business?
If
it ain't what you like, leave it alone. We ain't gotta impose on another individual.
I don't give a damn.
And why is everybody's sexual orientation so important to the world? If we're so intelligent, why are we limited ourselves to what our private parts take part in? This is just, it baffles me.
The world is over-sexualized in general.
It definitely is. This really baffles me.
It's a lot.
Especially as a Scorpio. Like, that does not define me, who I'm trying, like, none of that.
And that doesn't define me.
That we lead everything down to our sexual organ, and our brain is the most powerful thing. I don't understand.
It's weird. This, Like they say in church, the flesh.
Yeah,
the flesh is...
Exactly. Like, what turns me off the most is your sexual nature, if it's led first.
Yeah. I get it. It's
everybody, every individual, everything is just based off of that.
It is. And the thing about it is, it's like, that's what they're basing it off when they're going to sit there and just wanting to roll back these things to discriminate against.
It's like another form of discrimination. It's not about the human being. It's not about their personality. It's not about their values. It's basically about their race and their sexuality.
Like who they sleep with.
Their race, their gender, sexuality.
Yes.
Race, gender, sexuality.
That's a lot. So, now we're on to the last chapter. Their proposals will set polluters loose and undo climate action, because this earth is about to pretty much have a whole tsunami and we're going to get wiped out. We've waited decades for meaningful and robust federal action.
The mermaids come save me.
Listen, all I know is, like, when it happens, I'm just glad. It's definitely gonna happen on the West Coast, on the Pacific, on the Pacific Ocean.
Definitely is.
That's happening.
That or Florida.
No, it's happening there.
Yeah, it's breaking off too. Yeah.
No, it is. And the thing about it is, they already know it is on the West Coast. They know it. They know it's just a matter of time. You know what I mean? It's a matter of time. Anyway, more dark things. We've waited decades for meaningful and robust federal action to combat climate change and protect people from the harms of pollution.
Yeah.
Project 2025 couldn't care less about these threats. And now they want to destroy our hard-fought gains. Number one, how they do it. Make our air dirtier and worse than climate change. Gross. Project 2025 would make it even harder for the EPA to take action against climate change by attacking the endangerment finding.
Oh.
I don't even know what that is.
We don't even have the ETA no more. So EPA, so it doesn't matter.
Well, they're being dismantled.
Yeah, exactly. So
being led by somebody who's not, you know what?
Competent. So there that
has nothing of this background.
Exactly.
Nothing with environmental background.
So there that goes.
Anyway.
Already in effect right now.
Right. The things that are happening, y'all need to pay attention.
It seems like you have somebody in that position, but they're not doing what the position requires.
Absolutely. Much of what the EPA does is tied to the endangerment finding, which, according to the Natural Resources Defense Council, requires the EPA to take action under the Clean Air Act to curb emissions of carbon dioxide, methane, and 4 other heat-trapping air pollutants from vehicles, power plants, and other industries. Project 2025, however, wants to establish a system to update the 2009 endangerment finding. According to NRDC, updating the endangerment finding means restricting the federal government's mandate to combat climate change in order to advance the public health and welfare of the American people and our lands. If Project 2025 were successful in getting the federal government to update the endangerment finding, it could become much harder for the EPA under the Clean Air Act to take measures to combat greenhouse gas emissions, pollution, and other harmful effects of climate change.
So another hole again.
Exactly. Another hole in the ozone layer that was just filled. That hole in the ozone layer in the 90s, that shit was filled. Now we on to climate change because that's the new shit and that's what's fucking our shit up now.
So, listen to me, y'all. Watch. You're gonna see a boatload of factory and warehouses coming back to America. We're about to be workers. We're about to be workers.
About to get sick all over again.
Our kids about to be losing limbs and shit.
All that shit. Anyway.
We about to be workers, bro.
All the way. Now, Next thing.
And I'm laughing, but I said it, yo.
No, you said it. Now, back to this climate shit. How they do it. Cut off weather, ocean, and climate data by disbanding NOAA. Let me just say this right now. That whole sentence alone, I am seething.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, Project 2025 would disband the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration, which provides critical weather data and insightful scientific research, meaning the people smarter than the people that are in the current in the current White House right now. People smarter than you and I, because this is my first time of me even knowing about this administration. Didn't know we had them. However, don't want them to get disbanded. Didn't know who they were.
Well, we already know that's happening now.
Yeah. Anyways.
Exactly.
The National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration plays a critical role in helping us understand the effects of human behavior on the world's oceans and atmosphere. Yeah, they need to be around.
Well, not no more.
No more. Trying to. NOAA issues daily weather forecasts, severe storm warnings, and more. It also monitors the climate, manages fisheries, restores coastal environments, and supports marine commerce. According to NOAA, the agency's products and services support economic vitality and affect more than 1/3 of America's gross domestic product. Additionally, the NOAA's reports have made important discoveries about the effects of climate change. NOAA's expertise is frequently relied on by other federal agencies to understand how they can respond to and adapt to climate change. The proposal to disband NOAA would leave federal agencies unequipped to combat climate change, not to mention deprive scientists, businesses, and the public of key data. In their own words, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration should be dismantled and many of its functions eliminated, sent to other agencies, privatized, or placed under the control of states and territories.
Lord, bless us.
Bless our dumbass motherfuckers who put these motherfuckers in office. Bless y'all. Bless y'all. How they do it.
Yeah.
Transfer environmental funding away from mission-based entities to state regulators who, in many cases, do not support sustainable policies. Now, I know I'm reading some stuff that is really boring to a lot of us, but this is very important because...
Please listen.
Yeah.
You have to prepare yourself, your family, your generation.
You have to think about this stuff because...
And if you're a minority, it's very important. You will become cattle.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about climate change. You gonna become you gonna become drowned. Okay, that's this number one.
It's a lot of things that's transpiring.
That's what I'm saying. Project 2025 seeks to undo progress made through the Inflation Reduction Act by any means necessary. The IRA creates ambitious and expansive investment in climate action and infrastructure development and is a top target of Project 2025. Even without new legislation, Project 2025 advocates to shift climate-related IRA funds away from mission-based organizations with subject matter expertise and toward state regulatory entities. This would, in our estimation, allow state leaders not committed to climate sustainability or those who deny any climate change altogether to misuse funds in a way that would set back climate action. So basically, they're just going to go without climate action and act like what's happening isn't happening. Even though this affects the entire earth. This affects us all with climate action. People, always want to look back on it and do some other things. Now, the next thing. How they'd do it. Expand offshore oil and natural gas drilling on public lands and waters. Again, old shit that we know harms the environment and harms the earth.
Lord.
We know it does. So why do we want to continue to do it?
Progressing.
Project 2025 would push the Department of the Interior to allow oil and natural gas lease sales to the maximum extent permitted.
And we all thought they was fooled when they said "Make America Great Again." Again, we all thought they was fools. They're literally trying to turn back the wheels of time.
Yes.
They're trying to turn back the wheels of time, y'all.
Yes. Like these people that are running that administration are living in the 90s or the 80s for Donald Trump. The 80s, 70s really.
Well, the most lucrative America is when America had slaves.
Exactly. Anyway, and during the 1950s, because that's when they had the most. That was the biggest wealth that push that they had, especially within the middle class. Everybody was making a lot of money in the 1950s.
So
anyway, the groups behind the mandate for leadership want to conduct offshore oil and natural gas lease sales to the maximum extent permitted, meaning the most. It don't matter who it harms, who dies, nothing. Because it's all about the almighty dollar. This section of the mandate for leadership was written by William Perry Pendley, a former Trump administration official who had to recuse himself from dozens of matters before the Bureau of Land Management while he was leading it, due to flagrant conflicts of interest as the former president of a special interest organization that called for the widespread transfer of federal public lands to private holders. Not only that, Pendley has referred to climate science as junk science and likened the existence of climate change to unicorns. This proposal would allow fossil fuel companies to drill on more public lands and waters, undoing progress made by the current administration to decrease this harmful practice. In their own words, conduct offshore oil and natural gas lease sales to the maximum extent permitted under the 2023-2028 lease program. 34 with the possibility to move forward under a previously studied but unselected plan alternative. Basically, something that's never been done, but they already know it's bad, but they're going to do it anyway because they think because it makes the most money. They're only thinking about their wallet. They don't care about the earth. Don't care who it kills. People. They don't care about people. Get that through your thick-ass skulls.
They gonna live somewhere else while they drain the resources out of America because they can't do it nowhere else because everybody is preventing them from doing it to their country. But
so why do you think NASA and all these planet scientists are so interested in going and checking out other Earth alternatives? Wake up. We don't have that much time on this earth before it goes ahead and decides to restart itself, which it has done plenty of times. So we don't know when it's going to restart itself. From certain theories, it's about 250 years overdue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I have no idea, like, the day-to-day things and the weather I see every day.
Yeah.
Like,
it doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up. We're due. We're due. This is why the climate shit is so important. Yeah. Because it's like